Anything else?
Get rid of these diseases.
Get rid of what?
Yes.
There's more axons.
More axons. Well, let's, yeah, more axons. Okay. Any other ideas? Okay. So we're now getting into a field which is really at the cutting edge of research in neuroscience today. So there is evidence that you can increase myelination. There is evidence that you can increase the number of receptors. If you increase myelin, then you increase speed of transmission. Okay. More axons. There's even some evidence, and this is, I think, still speculative, that you could actually perhaps create some new neurons which would give rise to more axons. But the mechanisms that have been really well established are things like making more receptors and even growing more synapses. So if you look, a lot of this is done experimentally with animals. You give them enriched environments or you teach them specific tasks. And you see that the number of synapses, I'm just going to illustrate it this way, number of synapses with stimulation, environmental enrichment, learning, the number of synapses can actually increase. Okay? So you make more connections along the pathways that you strengthen. Okay? There's also good evidence that you can put more receptors here so that the synapses are stronger. Okay? More transmitter molecules binding to more receptors. Okay? So it's also been shown in humans that someone who has a highly developed skill, like piano players, for example, if you look at the parts of the brain, the cortex, that control the movement of the hands, more of the brain is devoted to controlling the hands in an experienced piano player than in the rest of us. Why? Because they grow more synapses. Okay? So those pathways that you really practice, that you make work over and over and over again, they actually get stronger. Okay? And they get stronger by these different mechanisms, growing more synapses, putting more receptors into the brain, and possibly even by increasing myelin. Okay? So this is why I say your years here at John Hay you could think of as exercising your synapses. Because as you learn, as you study, as you practice, you're actually changing your brain. Okay? You're changing the structure of your brain, you're changing transmission in your brain, you're making stronger those pathways that you exercise. Okay? How many of you knew that already, that you could change the synapses in your brain? Okay, so this is good. This is important information because now you have some responsibility for how your brain is going to develop from here on out. Okay? There are people who choose to really mess up the way their brain develops, as we just discussed, by drugs of abuse. Long-term, devastating consequences. There are people who choose to really positively impact the development of their brain by the things they choose to do in school, in sports, outside of school, things that exercise the pathways that we want to get stronger. Okay, so we're going to talk about that now in more detail. Any questions so far about what I've said? So you can change your synapses. It's an awesome thought. Yes?
You said you can grow more when about the positive things. You can still grow when they're doing negative things.
We're going to, exactly what we're going to talk about. So the question was, you can grow more synapses by doing positive things, and you grow more synapses by doing negative things. It's a really good question. So I want to make something very clear right now. I wasn't talking about, I'm not just saying that positive, it's not a question of positive versus negative. the pathways that you choose to exercise will get stronger. That's the point. Okay, where you put your energy, the pathways that you choose to exercise, they're going to get stronger. Okay? Any other questions? Okay. Yes?
So, say like if you have an eating disorder, right? And then, like you said that, so if I like eating, will I get stronger, or like, will my hunger be stronger than ever?
That's a very complex question. You're saying if you like eating.
Yeah, you said you put more energy towards something, it will become stronger. So if all my energy is going to eating,
When she eats more food.
Yeah. So what do you think?
I like that.
What do you think?
I think, yeah, it would. My
Right.
appetite would be
Right. So the eating is complicated because there's lots of metabolic issues involved. It's not just brain circuitry and synapses. There are changes in blood glucose. There are changes in hormones, which are related to the amount of fat in the body. Okay. Some of those hormones talk to the brain. So the answer is yes, you can set up a cycle in which you're always trying to reinforce the need to eat. And the more you do that, the more it reinforces. So I think the answer, if I understood your question, is yes. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so now we're going to look at snakes and ropes and the little nervous man walking down the road in his village. I'm going to erase this, all right? All right. What's that? So if we're looking at a whole brain, where's the front? Here or there? Okay. Here's the front. There's the back. Top, bottom. So if we're back is back to the head. So it's like this, right? So we're looking at the left side of the brain from the outside. Okay? All right. What's this? Cerebellum. What's this?
Spinal cord.
Oh, this is the spinal cord. What's this? Okay. So this is the brain stem.
Is this going to turn out to be a flamingo?
No. Medulla,
Oh, I said that. The medulla.
spinal cord, cerebellum. All right. Question. Let's say you're walking in the woods. And let's say you're walking in the woods where you know there's poisonous snakes. But you like walking there anyways because it's so beautiful. Okay? And you see something rustle in the leaves. And you're thinking, what kind of brain would you like to have? Would you like to have a brain that says, oh, let me get closer and take a real close look and I'll find out if that's a poisonous snake? Or would you like a brain that says, oh, I'm going to stop, I'm going to get more information, and then decide whether it's safe to go ahead? Who wants this, the first kind of brain? You want the first kind of brain? It's been nice knowing you. The first kind of brain gets you killed, right? Because the first kind of brain, you get real close and the snake says, great, and bites you, right? The second kind of brain is the brain that we've got. The second kind of brain stops stops your body so you can gather more information before you decide to go ahead or not. How does that work?
What you mean?
How does that work? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. How is it that our brain protects us from things that are dangerous by stopping us from moving ahead blindly? Questions?
Can you be using like your frontal lobe or something?
Say that again?
That's what I like. Can you be using your frontal lobe?
Wouldn't you be using your frontal lobe? Okay, why do you say that? Right, because your frontal lobe is important for judgment, executive decision-making, things like that. Yes, your frontal lobes are important. Very good. Okay. So how is it that we didn't all die of snake bites thousands of years ago? It's because our brain has evolved to keep us safe. And here's how that works. So let's draw an eye. Here's your eyeball, and it's looking at the ground as you're walking through the woods where you know there are poisonous snakes. Your eyeball sees something moving, or just something that looks like it could be a snake. So what part of the eye communicates with the brain? You know? The retina. Okay? Occipital is the part of the brain that it goes to for visual perception. Okay, so cells in the retina project into the brain. Now we're going to make this brain transparent, and I'm going to draw some structures inside the brain. Okay? I'm going to draw a big structure here in the center called the thalamus. Thalamus. Okay? So information from the retina in the eye goes into a special part of the thalamus. Okay? Synapses onto cells there that project to a part of the brain here in the temporal lobe called the amygdala. A-M-Y-G-D-A-L-A. Okay? So the neurons in the thalamus project neurons in the amygdala. And we're going to draw in more of this pathway in a moment, but this is what keeps you from being bitten by the snake. Why? Because neurons in the amygdala project down to your brain stem and to your spinal cord. Okay? And they activate neurons that project out to the peripheral nervous system, to your muscles, and neurons in your brain stem that project out to your heart and other organs of the body. Okay? So that when you see something that might be dangerous, this pathway very quickly causes you to freeze by stopping your muscles from moving forward. It causes your heart rate to start increasing in case you have to run out of there quickly. It gets your breathing up, your blood pressure up. It does all the things that you need to get out of there fast if there's something really dangerous in front of you. Okay? So, I'm going to go through this again. Information from the retina goes to the thalamus. From the thalamus to the amygdala, and from the amygdala down to the brainstem and spinal cord to activate all of your defensive reactions. Okay? Same thing were to happen if someone slapped you on the face all of a sudden. You'd go like this, right? You compare to either hit them back or get out of there, right? So it activates muscles, defensive muscles. It gets your heart rate going. It gets your breathing up. Everything you need to defend yourself. Okay? Now, a couple of important points. Has this pathway gone anywhere